I've always wanted to tour the northern part of Nigeria, so I challenged myself to a solo trip for the first time to Kaduna. And for this trip to be a success, I had to visit 3 iconic locations: the Emir's Palace, the first church in northern Nigeria, and the National Museum. I had just 24 hours to spend in Kaduna, and my biggest concern was time. So I took a train from Abuja to Kaduna, and when I actually got to the train station, guys, I was literally confused. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going. I started wondering, what am I actually doing in Kaduna? I mean, this is supposed to be a trip that I planned for, right? Guys, I am in Kaduna right now, and I don't know what I am doing or where I am. I'm outside the train station. I have just 3 locations to visit, and if I can beat those 3, I'll call it a successful trip. So the challenge is actually quite simple. Get to 3 locations. First is the National Museum, the second is the first church in northern Nigeria, and the third is actually the Emir's Palace. Looking at the history of Kaduna in recent years, this shouldn't be the first place I should solo travel to, but I did anyway. So I took a ride to the National Museum and I wasn't really impressed. So I just got to National Museum Kaduna, and the place looks like a village. I mean, nobody to usher me in. The whole place is just, I don't even understand. I got into the museum and I was told that there was no light. We went in and there was no light. This was just mind-blowing to me. I mean, a whole government building, a national museum, no light. This was just crazy. I personally rate this place 1 star, and the 1 star is for my patience. After I basically just agreed to do the tour because I didn't just want it to ruin my deal. I just wanted to see what was in there and also show you guys what was in there, because it would have been a complete waste of my time to come there and just leave because there was no light, right? We're basically using a rechargeable bulb to tour a national museum. This was the height of embarrassment, guy. I saw some real ancient sculpture. I saw things going way back, and then I saw this. Imagine seeing this thing in the dark and you're just the only one, probably as a child, man. You will literally be scared for your life. I literally kept imagining, what if this thing had blinked? Man, it would have just been the end of my tour, the end of my stay in Kaduna. I would have gone back home straight. Taking this tour actually just showed me how far backwards we are when it comes to our maintenance culture and when it comes to preserving our art and telling our stories. If we don't take this thing seriously, I mean, who will? These other guys will tell our story for us if we can't preserve it, or we can't even present it the best possible way. This museum basically takes you to a trip back in time before Nigeria became Nigeria, if that makes sense. You can basically get to learn more about pre-colonial Nigeria. I'm currently done at the museum, and honestly, I'm just trying to make the most out of my day. So I'm heading to Zaria, Wusasa, to the church, and I need to figure out how to get there. I started heading to Wusasa, which was an hour 30 minutes drive away from the National Museum, and when I finally got there, I could basically say it was worth the trip. Guys, you won't actually believe that I am currently in the first church in northern Nigeria. I mean, guys, this building is still preserved properly, and as you can see, it's actually built with, I don't know, I think the inside has been plastered. Man, this is just like a trip back in time, man. Now, you won't believe that this church was built in 1929 by early missionaries.
This is the St. Bartholomew Anglican Church, which was built in 1929. This church showcases a blend of local and Western architectural styles, and this church remains a significant landmark and heritage site that reflects the early days of Christianity in northern Nigeria.
They still have the keyboard, very old keyboard, and I don't know what this means. I'm really excited to have visited the second place on my list today. So now we are going to be headed to the third on my list, which is the Emir's Palace. So I was running out of time and I had to get to the palace, and this was when things took a toll for the worse. It was pretty difficult for me to get a bike, and when I finally got a bike, he could not speak English and he didn't hear English, and I also couldn't hear Hausa or speak Hausa. But I took my chances, and this was where things got really bad, because I told him my location. I told someone to explain to him my location, which he did, but man, it just wasn't working, and that was a mistake I made. This guy basically didn't know where he was going, and I trusted him. So he took me around and we kept going and we kept going, and we had to stop to ask several people. I had to even bring out a picture from my phone of what the palace looked like to show people, oh, do you know this place? Can you interpret for this guy that we are going to this particular place? Oh, he said, yeah, he knew the place. And they will interpret and tell me that, oh yeah, he knew the place. They finally found the guy that actually described to the bike guy where we were going. And this was where things were supposed to get better, right? No, we didn't actually get better, because can you explain to me how we moved from real estate for the living to real estate for the dead? This guy literally passed through the middle of the cemetery. It was just weird, man. I was just like, is this guy kidnapping me or something? Like, I don't understand. And he just kept taking a series of turns, and I just didn't know until finally we got to the Emir's Palace. This is the Emir's Palace. This is how big and pretty it is, and there's a whole vibe around it. So I met someone in the palace, and he was kind enough. He told me that the palace isn't open during weekends. There's nobody working, so nobody to show me around, and it's just there. So I'll be heading back to Kaduna, close to the train station, so that I can board my train by tomorrow. Now I have to look for my way back to Kaduna, but I'm so happy and proud that I made it to the 3 sites in one day. Lagos people, can you beat that? Can you go to 3 different locations in one day in Lagos? Not like I'm throwing shade, but you can do it in Abuja, you can do it in Kaduna. Well, God help you guys. But anyway, I'm heading to Gwagwaji. They told me to get there. From there I should be able to get a vehicle going to Abuja. Good vibes.
I was really glad that I took this challenge and embarked on this trip. Will I do it again? Probably. We may just have to find out. But until then, if you like this video, kindly hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.